evening, everyone. This is the Auburn School Committee meeting for March 4th, 2026. Call this meeting to order. This meeting is being conducted in person and is being recorded by the Auburn Cable Television. All are welcome to join us in person at 5 West Street. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the Auburn Public School website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Thank you. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
The vision of the Auburn Public Schools is to educate and prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of a changing world. Our commitment: we will create, maintain, and support an environment that fosters a sense of belonging for all students in our schools, respecting race, color, sex, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, homelessness, poverty, spoken language, and ability.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McCrillis. Do we have any special recognitions tonight?
Not this evening, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from February 11th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from February 11th, 2026.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't here, so. Okay. And we do have a student rep here tonight, so I will turn it over to you. Hello.
Hi. So spring sports are kicking off this week with some indoor practices while the snow is still melting. Also, some winter teams are still competing, but most of them are all done. And we have a half day on March 16th. And students are just getting back into the swing of things after break, which was extended a little bit. We have finals and midterms on March 17th and 18th, and the polar plunge is happening the morning of March 20th, which students have been consistently encouraged to either plunge or be towel holders, which is expected to be a really fun event. And trimester 3 begins on that Friday, March 20th, but we have that day off from school. And seniors are getting closer to graduation, which is now only 86 days away.
Wow.
Counting.
Holy moly.
I think someone's counting.
Yeah.
Who's counting?
Wow. Okay. Well, you guys are full steam ahead. Sounds like very busy over there at the high school. Do we have any questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you for that report.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Chamberlain, for the superintendent's report.
No student spotlight. Yes, so Madam Chair, we had discussed the potential of rearranging the agenda a bit this evening.
Oh, yes. Yep.
We have Mr. DeLongchamp here, who's been working with Mr. Keller on the Auburn High School program of study updates, which will be toward the back of your packet. Just wait till everybody has it. Yeah, there's a whole stack of the student activities things, and it's after that. Before the policies, I think.
Hello.
Hello, good
All right,
evening.
Mr. DeLongchamp, if you could share with the committee the work that you
Sure.
and your team have done on the program of studies.
Well, thank you for having me. Let's see here.
Thank you for being here.
Yes. Someday we're going to purchase a bigger podium for me. So I have some exciting changes to our program of studies that I can't wait to share with you all. So something that's been on my wish list for the last couple of years after talking to our rising 8th graders as they matriculate through has been a way to better support them to create some foundation, some footings to create better success, so to speak. So we've been working with the department chair team, with our counseling team, and we've come up with a freshman year experience seminar course that all of our freshmen will take over the course of the first 2 trimesters. In order to make it work, we'll take the first half of the freshman class, or a group of 75 to 80, based on our numbers, in Tri 1, and take the second half of them in trimester 2. Within this course, we're going to work on academic and study skills, digital awareness, especially with the rising I don't want to say concerns, but with the AI revolution, so to speak, restorative justice, and when I think of restorative justice, how to agree to disagree in a civil manner, how to work with peers, cooperative learning in general, and team building. Additionally, research skills. I think it's important that we just don't pull the first thing when we look up something online. It's so much easier than it was for many of us when we went to a library or pulled out our encyclopedia sets, right? So what does real research look like, and how do you do it? And then our counseling team is going to do a college and career readiness. So I am super excited by all of this. I think that it will expose some of the freshmen to teachers that might not normally have until maybe later in their high school career, and it will by far prepare them, even if it prepares them in the sense that maybe during their freshman year they might hear about a study skill that they haven't heard before. My hope is that in this program they'll learn about different techniques to study, and then when their classroom teachers bring them up, it'll be the second or third time that they've heard them, maybe more familiar, maybe it sticks, maybe it's something they say, okay, this works for me, where that does not work for me. So that is our first big change. So something I'm excited, and if you guys have any questions where that's such a big agenda item, I'll be happy to take them.
You're the chair. Who's teaching it?
It'd be multiple teachers. So we surveyed. We wanted to make sure we had people that from different departments. Okay. So we have a mix of teachers from our English department, our science department, our foreign language department, and our counseling department. Awesome. So we're excited.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Can you just tell everyone who developed the course?
Sure,
What's going
sure.
to be included?
So we've had a lot of conversations, but this summer, or in the previous summers, we have summer work that we have the teachers ask and put together proposals. So this past summer, Jeff Berg and Tess Jarvis spent time together working on the foundations, the bones to what I'm talking about now. And then we've met throughout the school year. We've pulled like 45 minutes here, half an hour here, either during the day or after school to fine tune. And then we've talked about it with our faculty.
I have a question through
Yes.
the chair. With this whole new freshman program and stuff, are the upcoming freshmen also going to have more, are they going to be able to socialize more with the upperclassmen as well? So they can kind of get to know what the upperclassmen's point of view is, and they can give them tips on kind of what high school is like.
So I think, and that's a great question, Piper, thank you. I think what we'll do when we incorporate upperclassmen with our freshmen, it'll be through our community time and not through this particular class. The only reason I say that is because this will be one of their 5 courses during the day, and I wouldn't want to, unless we were doing a special project. And again, the beauty of this is we can create, right? So we've already started creating lessons, and if we find things that aren't working, we can discard and play with other things. Or if we notice that there are trends within the freshman class that we need to tackle. But if there's a place where we feel like we can incorporate upperclassmen, then that's something we would consider for sure. But we would definitely do the community work we've done in the past. Yes.
And through the chair, if I may.
Yeah.
One of the things too you'll notice in here is talk about high school success plan around academic goals. So you may recall with the competency determination and what's happening in the state around graduation and that kind of moving target, which still hasn't been identified, but there's been a proposal that's put out there. This plays into that success plan that high school students as well as middle school students are required to have, will be potentially required to have, should that go through. But regardless of that going through or not, I think it makes a ton of great sense, and Dan's team has done some nice work around fleshing that out.
We're just trying to organize their planning. I know from a developmental state, their executive functioning is still probably happening at 14 and 15 years old. But if we're able to help support that and put some things in place that can help them be more organized, have a better plan, not to wing it. I'm up for trying, and I think it'll be beneficial for the kids. Mr. Walton and I have been meeting with students who have been struggling with a few weeks left of the trimester. I think we have about 11 days left, give or take. We wanted to make sure that we had connection, especially with our freshmen, to see how they were tackling these little bumps that you might have over the course of 13 weeks. And some of the kids had great plans. Hey, I'm working with my parents. I'm working with the teachers. I'm staying after school. And some students had no plan at all. So it's, my hope is that we'll eliminate some of those kind of answers and that kids will feel like, hey, I'm not doing well. These are the interventions I need to try. So again, we'll,
address a lot of questions that kids might have and are too embarrassed to even address normally. So
it's tough at 14 years old to go raise your hand when you're thinking that everyone else has the answer and you don't.
yeah.
So how do you handle that
Or
situation?
you feel like you don't know how to study or
Right.
take notes or whatever.
Through the chair, I've definitely heard some people who have had kids in middle school that have gone up to high school, and they're like they're like, oh my God. So I think this will really help their concerns, and like, so they have someone that they can go and talk to. It's not so much as like a class where you have to get through a curriculum. It's more of a class where like, let's go through this. Let's teach you guys how to handle high school, which is a completely different experience than middle school. So,
And I have to give Mark Carlson some credit too. And I didn't mention his name. I should have. I've spent countless time with Matt talking about the transition, what it looks like, because I don't know these students when they come through our door. I don't know what takes place in the middle school. They're doing everything they can to prepare the kids. So we've talked about strategies. We had conversations during our vertical meetings that I discussed the last time I was here in regards to, and I think that was one of the questions we had. 8th grade teachers asked us often, what do you expect from us? What are you looking for us? What are some things you want us to tackle? And at the same time, we asked the same question back of them. Are there things that we need to do to work with what you're doing so it's seamless? So again, I have to give them some credit because they're really trying hard to make the transition as smooth as possible for the kids.
I think this will ease a lot of parents, like, agita that comes with switching schools.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that'll really be helpful. So.
I mean, you're 14 and you have to go to school with 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
That look like, I mean, they don't look like me, but they're, I mean, they look like big people. It can be, it's a big school, new place. There's a lot on their plates. So,
Not to mention the kids that come from other towns.
Right,
That
exactly.
choice in and stuff. So I think this is a good, kids glove
Yeah.
thing where, I think it would be it's a great idea. I love it.
The chair, how does it count towards credits? Like, what is it going to count as a credit?
So it's going to be a pass-fail course, okay? So we're not looking, I don't want grades to be the focus of this course. I want understanding, and it's going to be something that is required. It's a requirement. So it'll be just like we have responsible citizenship as a requirement for our senior class, the freshmen are going to be, and again, for me, it's going to be that action plan that they put together. And at the end, like their capstone at the end of the project will be putting together, this is how I study best. These are some tips that I need to take into the classroom. So we're working on what that looks like as far as it's probably going to be something electronic because paper copies can be lost, but something that can travel with them and as a reminder almost.
Through the chair, any thought on those students who we call them at promise at my job, but at risk students being in that first trimester instead of the second trimester, scheduling purposes so that they can kind of get the ball rolling right away?
I think some of that would come from my conversations with the middle school. And if they felt like there were students that could super benefit from this at the onset, when I said divided by alphabet, that was just one way to do it.
I didn't even hear you say that.
But we would certainly, if there were students that we thought would really benefit right from the onset, then we could easily make that change.
I think it's a great point, Meg. Yeah, because you don't want those kids at risk, floundering through
Right.
and then have a bad taste in their mouth about the
It's
rest of it.
because it is 13 weeks. That's what a trimester is. So
That's a long time.
it is a long time.
Yeah.
It is a long time.
And it sounds like you're going to be using teachers who are really gung-ho at supporting these students. So
Right.
it'd be good for those students to have that TLC right away.
Right. And with any new program, you want people that are enthused, that have, that really feel like this is something that's meaningful. And every one of the group of people that we're working with, they're all very, very excited. So it's a good thing.
Kudos to Jeff Berg and Tess Jarvis.
That's
work.
So in place of that, you're going to see the next piece in a lot of my conversation for the next 4 or 5 minutes will be around English. And there's some exciting things happening with English. But because our schedule is so tight with the trimester schedule, we had to kind of flip and invert how we approach English with our freshmen. So our freshmen are going to have 2 trimesters of English during their freshman year, and then 3 trimesters of English during their sophomore year. So they get the reverse of that now. They get 3 now in the freshman year and 2 in sophomore year. So in talking to the English team, and then working things through, we felt like that if there are any students that really need the additional course, we can provide them with a 3rd trimester of English. If we've got students that might be really, almost what you were saying, Meg, where they might have trouble with literacy skills, reading, writing, and need that extra trimester, we've created a course called Foundations that you see underneath. And this would be something where we get recommendations from Mr. Carlson and his team, and they would let us know what students really might have difficulties with reading and writing and would benefit from the additional English course. So those kids would actually end up with 6 trimesters of English in their first two years. And that's the most we can give them.
But those kids would still be able to do the freshman year.
Yes, they would. Yes. All students, all of our freshmen will take this course. So moving forward, and I think, I'm not sure how yours printed out, but we have some changes with our 12th grade. And we are replacing, currently we have a Part A and a Part B to our English 4. Part A is more humanities based, and Part B has been diverse voices and our students receiving different texts from different authors. And what we've talked about in the English department as a way to motivate students and get more kids reading and writing, we would like to provide them choice. So the English team has created a series of courses that our students will take in place of these 2. They will have to take both. Their requirements would have to be that they need to have passed their junior English classes, and then they'll work with their guidance counselors in regards to leveling. These courses will both be in CP and they'll be in honors, just as we've had in the past years. There's some pretty interesting, as I was talking to Piper before the meeting started, there's certainly some really interesting electives. There's a couple of electives where teachers have been working on some things behind the scenes in their college courses, and they've been waiting to have the opportunity to take some of these courses or to teach some of these courses. So we are excited. Dystopian literature. This is supplemental nonfiction, short stories, and the focus will be on critical thinking, interpretation, and argument, which productive argument. I don't want you to think kids are just fighting in class. But and authors Ray Bradbury, George Orwell, McCarthy, and Huxley. So there's a combination of authors that we're probably familiar with some more modern authors. Shakespeare is exactly how it sounds. And this is more traditional, and these are the poetry and plays of Shakespeare. And this will be reading, discussion, writing, comparison through film. We also have crime fiction. And crime fiction deals with a lot of mystery, detective novels, and short stories. We have, this is an interesting one, and even in title, Contemporary Masculinity Through Literature. And this is taking a critical look of how men and boys are perceived in current society. And we have not approached this. We've had a lot of, I think you're going to see women's literature a couple down the way. We've offered those classes of that elective in the past, but we've never done through a lens of male perspective before. So we have a teacher that's been working on that in his graduate work, and he's very, very excited to teach this course. We also have short story, which is pretty, it's, I'll say traditional with this, other than the fact that we'll be introducing a new text within the course as well. Any questions in regards to that change?
Through the chair, I think it's great. It's going to give students better options for what they like.
My hope is it just gets kids reading. I want to, the more kids read, the better. And I think we're going to try to regulate the amount of reading and writing options in the classes. So even though they're much different classes, one class isn't going to write 3 essays and one class is going to have 1 essay. We're trying to make sure that it's very, very fair. And there's a lot of the same in regards to the practice. Kids will be reading, whether it's a novel or short stories or poetry. That does not matter. My hope is the fact that they've chosen the class that they might dive into it a little bit more. So, moving along. This won't take nearly as long. I'm sorry. We have our social studies department, and we have added one class. So this class, we call it special topics. And this is a lot like what you all might remember as like a current events class. So we often have almost too much curriculum to be able to cover during the time that we have. And so they're often, and we have faculty members who have some specialty areas as well, but we often can't dive into certain areas as deep as we'd like to at times because we just run out of time or we have to cover other content. And so this particular course could cover anything from ancient mythology and cultures and comparing them to modern culture and civilization to modern history in our current events, what we see in the news today. So kids like this course because it's relevant. There's a lot of material out there for this course in regards to the current events and then some of the modern history that, you know, when we cover our history in the span of history that we have to cover, you can touch upon everything, but you can't climb into depth with it. So this helps with that. We also have a principles of biology. So it's just another section of biology. You'll see that at the bottom. And this course here, this course would be, if somebody was to ask me what students, this would be an introductory course that would help students moving forward into the Biology 1 CP class, who might have difficulties or struggles with the whole process of labs or vocabulary or some of, and are you guys seeing it on your page? You're not seeing it on your page? Well,
no change at this time.
well, I am sorry about that. So that's that course.
Would you say that was biology?
It's a
Sorry, I was too busy.
principles of biology. I'm sorry.
And what grade is that for?
That'd be freshman. Wellness. We have two changes. One change is just going to be for the next year or two. We've been offering an Empowering Young Women class that Lynn Phelan had created, and Mrs. Phelan is retiring this upcoming school year, and where we have a new health teacher. I don't know who that teacher is going to be, and I didn't want to go introduce a brand new course to that particular teacher. So the department has decided to take on Wellness Seminar. And so Wellness Seminar is a course that expands on Health 1, what our freshmen take. And this course here helps kids improve the decision making. It goes into further depth about some of the risky teenage behaviors, how to help with interventions, who to see if you might be having difficulties with these behaviors that could lead to mental health issues. It can help with stress management, stress awareness, and it tackles some of those skills and interventions to be able to maybe get you through a rough day. Last one, or almost last one, we have our intermediate algebra class. So last year we were able to, this past school year, we were able to we have an increase in the students taking our Algebra 2 class. And we have an increase in freshmen taking our Algebra 2 class, which is fantastic. Our Algebra 2 class is a two trimester course, where in the past, and even going forward in the future, our freshmen take 3 trimesters of math. So in an effort to best support them, where this is a 2 trimester course, we've introduced a course called Intermediate Algebra, which is an overview, and it covers some basic skills before they go into their Algebra 2 class during their freshman year. So it's just like that third try of mathematics in order to support them when they begin their Algebra 2 journey. So we feel like this course can help with maybe skills that were covered at different parts during their 8th grade school year, but maybe it was earlier in the year that they might need some reinforcement because of the building block nature of the course, that we would want to reteach some of those areas, add, and make sure that those kids had solid foundations before they began the Algebra 2. Any questions?
For the Chair, is this not intended to be algebra separate from honors algebra 1?
Yes, it is. Good question.
Any other questions? Seeing none. All right.
I know that was a lot this
It was a
time
lot,
around.
but it's
Yes.
all great. All good changes. Love it.
We do need a vote, yeah?
Oh, yes, sorry. All right, so I will need a motion to accept the new changes.
I'll make a motion to approve Auburn High School 2026-2027 Program of Studies as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you're good to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
While he's here, maybe we can do this one next.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Mr. DeLongchamp, if you want to hang on 1 second. I'm not sure that, just in case there are any questions for you.
Yep.
But the next item is, we are going a little out of order tonight, but there is a 180-day requirement at Auburn High School. There's a waiver in your packet. Again, toward the back, I think. I don't know if I can find mine.
Right before the policies.
Oh, geez, it's on the table.
You got it?
That's all the student.
Okay.
Time waiver.
So as you know, back on the morning of February 9th, kids, preschool and high school students at Auburn High School were evacuated due to the reported smell of gas. After an extensive investigation by the fire department and Eversource, we didn't find anything. Later in the day, there's some additional issues arose, and I made the decision to close Auburn High School for February 10th. So that would allow the fire department and ultimately the state hazmat team to do some additional investigation to make sure that there was nothing that would cause our students or our staff any harm. The issue arises is that there is a requirement through the Department of Education that we do both 180 school days and 990 hours of instruction, not one or the other, but both. So what that means is we have to either apply for a waiver for DESE to say students don't have to make up that day, or we have to make up that day. So we did some investigating. The waiver is in here. I'm asking for your permission to send this in. That would waive that 1 day for our students. I will tell you that I suspect it to be unlikely that the waiver get approved. Seemingly, the philosophy of DESE is that if you have something like an April vacation ahead of you, use one of those days and make the day up. I think that would be an unexpected burden on our families who may have plans, but certainly that's something that could be considered. At this time, however, if we go as is, that would, if the waiver doesn't get approved, then that would mean that Auburn High School students would have one additional day at the end of our already very long school year.
I am wondering, maybe not necessarily for this, I think the waiver is a great idea, but the winter is never ending. Is there any thought to, I don't know how many professional development days we have, is there any thought to having students come in instead on that, or seeing if families wanted to do April vacation? I haven't looked at the schedule to see what other days. I just know how hot it gets at the end of the year, and we're moving into the last week of June,
Right.
as is.
So I am certainly open to those considerations. So we have one full day left. The initial thing I had Alan call DESE. I said, well, we have a couple of half days. So could we, instead of a half day, do a full day, right? Because they count a half day. You need 180 days and 990 hours. So that was off the table. So what's left for us is March 20th and a day during April vacation. Other than that, we don't have any other open days that we could use.
Through the chair, can I just, mine is a silly question. How does this impact the seniors who already don't make up those snow days? Would they still be required to come in and make up that day?
Didn't even think of that.
So I would have to say, yes, they would. I mean, I'd have to do some investigating, but they can only get out really so many days before the end of the year, which already, I mean, we already have graduation set. I don't know that we can change that, but I think I'd have to ask. I'd honestly have to ask.
That is a conversation I had, if you don't
Okay.
mind me. So obviously if it would be March 20th, then the seniors would be making up that day. But if it falls after graduation, they do not need to make that up, is the conversation that.
Right, because they don't make up snow days.
They do not make up snow days.
Yeah.
Through the chair, how does, if we were to take away a PD day or make up a day during April vacation, how does that work with the AEA?
It's a bigger conversation, which I have already begun the conversation with them about that. But that does complicate things. This waiver is only for student learning time. It is not for staff time. So it only would impact whether the students have to come back or not.
It's worth trying.
Through the chair, I think going for the waiver, but I do think maybe if we continue to have snow days, we need to think about it for everybody. I don't know what you're doing on that professional development day, and I know how important professional development is, but if it's a way to keep the kids in that last week, I don't even know what as I've said, I've given up watching the weather. It's something to think about, or at least get some info from families
We're already
and
at
staff.
Tuesday, right?
We're at Tuesday.
Yeah.
The 22nd.
So we hit Juneteenth, so we're 2
Yes.
days.
Yep. Yep. But happy to explore. I do want to get this, so if you approve that for me to do this, then I will email this to Desi tomorrow. I don't know what the turnaround time is. Did he say? Do you normally hear?
He said relatively quick.
Yeah. This goes to Deputy Commissioner Rob Curtin. He's unbelievably responsive, so I would hope that we would hear quickly. They are dealing a lot with this, however. So there are many people looking for waivers right now. All the folks down the Cape that had to have a whole week. I think they were working on trying to make it so that they don't have to go past the 26th of June. So this is a big topic for a variety of reasons right now.
Yeah, through the
So-
chair, I thought Desi would come out with something with the way the weather is, but I mean, I can bake them cookies if it helps.
So maybe we should just vote that I should send this, if you'd like to, so I can go ahead and do that tomorrow. And then certainly I can ask him what the, return time is. And then after that, if we need to, we can explore what the community might think is best for other options.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Everyone's okay with moving forward? Okay. All right, I need motion to,
I'll make a motion to file waiver with Desi on the 180-day requirement for students.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll get
All
that
right,
sent
best
out
of
tomorrow.
luck. I hope they approve it.
All right, Mr. DeLongchamp, you're free to go.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, have a good night, thank you.
Bye. Have a good night.
All right, so back to,
Are you here for citizens' comments? Okay, all right, because I kind of jumped over that, so I can go back to it if so. All right. All right, go ahead.
okay, so we're back to the beginning, which is unfinished business. The first item on that is the FY27 draft budget. I think many of you are aware that right before the break, I did hear from the town manager, and the initial request for our budget, and I think we had anticipated there was going to be a request to modify the initial draft. The initial request was for us to decrease the budget by $150,000. I had a conversation with the town manager. That was adjusted to $100,000. But even at the time, in large part, I thought it was somewhat theoretical, like what if that had to happen? The town manager put forward her recommendations to the select board, and in that was a recommendation that we decrease our budget by another $100,000. I went to our budget kind of hearing that we have with the select board and was very appreciative of the support that they provided, really not wanting us to have to drastically cut our budget. Yet we needed to do something. And so what we kind of landed on, you'll see in your budget, there are 5 positions that are highlighted over on the right-hand side. Those positions are highlighted. Those are positions that will be open, that will be filled in the coming year. And when I had done the initial draft of the budget, I had put those in at a salary of a master's step 2, which I should have written down what that salary is. I didn't. We've now adjusted those to a bachelor's step 1. And so by doing so, we've saved over $7,000 per position in the budget. So that's roughly, it comes to like 39 something thousand dollars. The only other adjustment we made is at the high school. There is a staff member who's out on leave. We adjusted down the salary in that case by $20,000. It had been $84,000. It's down to $64,000. The remaining money is being made up by the town. So you'll see in athletics, there's a $30,000 offset that will be provided to us in one way, shape, or form. I don't have the logistics of it. It's on the athletics and fine arts budget, which is page 17. The additional $30,000. So that still doesn't get us to $100,000. It does get us underneath the 4% down to a 3.92% increase. Will we be challenged by this? We will. So having to hire all of this staff at a bachelor's 1 will be a challenge, but we can work really hard to try and make that happen. This past year, we hired several staff members at a bachelor's step 1. So we are hopeful that we can make that happen. But felt like we want to do our part for the generosity that the town has showed to us. None of this is easy, and we are not the only department in town that's being asked to do these kind of things. And so, again, we're part of a team, and teams do what teams do so that we can be successful. So again, that brings us down to the 3.92% budget. I would entertain any questions. It's really not, we didn't make any dramatic, the only things I highlighted in this were these changes going from 4.19 to 3.92. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
I guess worst case, if that teacher that's on leave does come back, then we are in the whole 20,000 or whatever.
We are,
that
and,
was.
I think, what I wouldn't want to have to do is to go, back to town meeting in the fall, but that is always an option if that had to happen at the fall town meeting, if something needed to be adjusted. We do have money set aside. We are bargaining 3 contracts this year, however that shakes out. So there may be some, there's always a little bit of room in our salary reserve with where that goes. So there are some things. And, what I know is no school budget is hard and fast because people come and they go and they change and we hire and we rehire. I think as a community, we've done a really good job of focusing on trying to hire the best, yet least expensive candidates we can. The principals have heard the call and they have worked really hard to do that. I think that will help us in the coming year because right now we're basing this on everyone we have. That will change, right? Mrs. Stanek, by the fall, there will be new people. So we can look at that. We feel, and you can, chime in, Mrs. Stanek, but once we went through this again, we feel it's going to take some work, but we feel like we can make it work. And if the town feels like, if that's what we need to do to have the town support, then that's what we want to do. We don't feel as though this is that we're going to suffer in any drastic way. We could not cut any more staff based on what we have. So we are kind of at the end of what we can do as far as I'm concerned. But that's where we sit.
Through the chair, I agree, and I think it's important that we work with the town, but I do want to go on record that, it's a challenge with a BA 1. I think we can get some really good new grads, but on the other side, I think of a high school math teacher being a new grad and me sitting in that classroom who wasn't a strong math student. That's going to be a challenge no matter how good the curriculum is. And 2 second grade support, potential new grad second graders at Bryn Mawr puts a little bit of a challenge on the teachers who are there, but I do think we have to work with the town. But I just want to make that clear that although it's something we can do and we do well, it is at a detriment to the kids.
Through the chair, I agree with everything Megan just said.
Yeah, agree. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we have to vote this through. So is anyone
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
opposed here but I do agree, but I also thank the town for all of their ongoing support. They've always been very supportive of us. Every year we go through this, we try and meet in the middle somewhere. And, I feel like we're bargaining in good faith kind of thing and
Yep, we
doing
have to.
whatever we can. At least we don't have to cut more teachers and,
Right.
so, all right, we'll make it work.
We always do.
We'll do our best.
I need a motion to approve this new number and the new increase.
Where is it? Yeah, it's not
Oh,
on
it's
here.
not on there.
No, you're gonna.
I'll make a motion to approve the newly updated FY 2027 budget,
Second.
That's with the 3.92.
the 3.92%.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you. One item while we're talking about budget and all of that. So just to let you know, we'll go to finance on April 1st. That's when we meet with the finance committee. So that will be the big approval that we will seek at that time, certainly. What's also been put forward that will come to you on the next agenda, I had to kind of put it in because the warrant is closing for the town. I don't know if I've mentioned this previously, honestly. We've been struggling with the generator that's at Auburn High School. It is very, 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 very old. We've done some repairs to it, but there is without a doubt a need for a new generator. So I've been working with Town Manager Vecchio around this issue, and what she's asked me to do, and I am more than happy to do it, is we will be putting forward an article, again, that will come to you for your vote next time, in the amount of about $314,000 to come from free cash for the purchase and installation of a new generator at Auburn High School. So I just wanted you to know that I did put it forward to the town. But again, they know that it has not been approved by you, and so it doesn't stand until we get your vote. But it was too late to get it onto this agenda for a vote. So, but wanted it to be on your radar.
And through the chair. I just wanted to note that Auburn High School is considered an evacuation site for the town. So we want to ensure that that generator is up and running and ready to go.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Chair, you said that was for the warrant for the town meeting that's coming up in the spring?
Correct.
And that is May 5th? Do we
Yes,
have a date?
yes, May 5th.
Thank you.
Yeah, but again, it'll be on our meeting on the 18th for you to vote that to to formally go forward. But I, again, appreciate the town and their support with that.
Okay. Any questions? All right, seeing none. We will wait for that vote.
Yes, that will come back. The next item is a student activities account update. And I'm going to let Mrs. Stana kind of jump in here. Again, you're going to see we've been able to meet with a number of people again. Everyone has been very open and honest. We've gone back and forth with multiple meetings when we've needed to, if people had questions or they had other documentation that they wanted related to student activities. All the meetings have been amicable. And again, I just have to thank Mrs. Stanek for the enormous amount of work going back to 2019 through every one of these transactions and keeping it all straight. So I'll let her talk through what we've done so far.
Thank you. So before you is the list of the Auburn High School audit review meetings. The ones in gray have already come forward at previous meetings. And then tonight I'll talk about the ones that have a check mark because those are verified. But I would like to note, and I'm sorry to, talk about snow, but we would be done with these meetings had we not had snow days.
We did have to reschedule.
We did
quite
have
a
to
bit.
reschedule. So at this time, we only have 2 meetings left to finish at Auburn High School, and we have actually already started the meetings with Auburn Middle School. So I'm happy to report that. So that, with that being said, we can go through the packet of verification forms and audit paperwork. So just for everybody's information, the verification forms are signed off on by the club advisors, the building principal, the student activity treasurer, which is one of the administrative assistants, myself, and Dr. Chamberlain. So the first one is the TV Video Club. The TV Video Club, again, is a club that did not have a lot of monetary activity and would have been considered inactive, but last year they did do a fundraiser, and so they are currently an active club. So on the first page, again on the left-hand side, is the original spreadsheets, and on the right-hand side in the yellow would be my audit findings. Again, the beginning balance prior to July 1st of 2019 is not verified. So at this point, the true balance is $215 for this club. Again, you see that in the school year 2020-21. Again, in the following school year, 21 to 22, 22 to 23, and 23 to 24. And then last school year, they did have a fundraiser, and that was verified. So the true balance for this account is $2,529.20 to end FY '25. And that has been signed off on.
Yeah, that was a good fundraiser.
Oh, good fundraiser.
Okay.
Through the chair, I noticed some have two advisors. Is it just like, I'm guessing all advisors go to all these meetings. Is it just like TV Video Club only had one advisor?
Yeah, some clubs only have one advisor.
Okay. All right.
And I also want to point out, it looks like in some of these, there is union representation. Yeah.
Yes, there has been union representation coming to some of the meetings, and if the union rep was there, they also signed off on the verification forms.
Okay.
And that was the choice of the club advisor.
Yes.
If they wanted the union rep there or not.
Okay. But all the advisors are at all the meetings.
Correct.
Okay.
Next one in your packet is Model UN, and the verified balance is $75.75. As we start with 2019, 2020, again, that beginning balance is not verified prior to July 1st of 2019. We go to the next year, that true balance becomes the beginning balance, and they had done some t-shirts, so the true balance for that year is $518.59. We go to the 21-22 school year. There was a deposit, but they also had a missed check of $100, so that was a variance. So the true balance at the end of that year was $2,138.59. We move to the 2020-23 school year, bringing that true balance forward. All of the transactions are accounted for, and the true balance is $768.89. In 23-24, all the transactions are accounted for. The true balance at the end of that year was $291.89. And all of the transactions for last year were accounted for, so the true balance is $75.75. Moving on to the Garden and Cooking Club. This had started in 2003-2004 school year. So the beginning balance was $0, and all of the transactions were accounted for. They ended that school year with $3.84.
In 2023 or 2003?
I'm sorry.
23,
La-
23, 24.
Yes, I
Started
apologize.
at 23, 24.
Lots of numbers. It started in 2023, 2024. Forgive me. Again, all those transactions are accounted for. They ended with a true balance of $3.84. And then last year, 2024, 2025, all the transactions are accounted for. There's a true balance of $317.77. We move on to the class of 2027. They were freshmen in 2023, 2024. Zero balance to start. And so as we go through some of the deposits, there was a bounce check that was not taken out of the original deposit. And then we did have a redeposit of the check. The deposit slip showed more, and there was a question about that, but that's because the fees and the fees go to the town and to the bank. So there was a $235 deposit that had been included, but it can only be the amount of the check, the original check. The fees go to the bank and to the town. And then they had also had a fundraiser, and you can see in here that there was the Dean's Beans fundraiser. They made all the deposits, but the withdrawal to pay Dean's Coffee was never taken out. So that was a variance because we did in fact pay them. So the total variance was $1,076, bringing their true balance to $11,802.19, which was carried to the 24-25 school year. And all of the transactions were accounted for last year. They end with a true balance of $15,213.59. Again, please stop me at any time when I mix up my numbers or
I was going to say that's a pretty
my
good
years.
plug.
All right, so now we're on to the class of 2026. They were freshmen in 22-23 school year. On the first page, all of the transactions are accounted for. And then on the second page, we have a few variances. There's an $87 refund that was actually you will see recorded in the next fiscal year. And these deposits were not found. We believe that they were duplicates because they were recorded in August and then noted as January deposits, and they had already been recorded. So the total variance is $937. The true balance is $15,872.33, bringing us to the 23-24 school year. And then we had some deposits that we had some concerns with, but what ended up happening was the deposit slip had said freshman class as opposed to class of 2026. And the freshman class in this year was actually the class of 27. So in the investigation, those were in fact their deposits. And then there was just a 50 cents error on a deposit that's highlighted there on the first page. We go through to the next page, $250. We did find that often the deposits with a lot of the same amounts were duplicated. And then there was a missing deposit of $100. So there was a total variance of $149.50 for the true balance of $22,497.05 going into last school year.
Hold on, so the missing deposit of $100, do we know like what happened to that, or was that?
So what happened is that we have it in our Munis accounting system. I have the deposit slips in the business office, but they never put it on the spreadsheet.
So that's why it's a credit. It works in
That's
their
a credit.
favor.
That
and
works in their favor.
Okay.
because there were cases where the documentation was found, but it wasn't here. So there are some, we don't always deduct, right? Sometimes she's adding money back in because of
Yep,
situations
because
like
if there's
that.
we found the paperwork for the deposit and it wasn't on the spreadsheet. That's why it's added in there.
Awesome.
And then we move to last school year, and on the first page, all the transactions are accounted for. And there were no variances, and the true balance was $25,565.57 going into their senior year for this year.
And again, we're not going to these meetings and saying, this is what your balance is. We go through each year and say, do you agree? Do you have anything else? Sometimes they'll say, we need to check that deposit, like with Dean's Beans. They wanted to make sure that that was the amount that should have been paid, one of the other ones. And so they came back, whether it was via email or another meeting. There was a conversation back and forth about this, so.
Absolutely. All right, so now we'll go to ski club. This ski club is the Wachusett trips. So in 2019, 2020, again, that balance prior to July 1st of 2019 is not verified. You will see some notations on the right-hand side because our invoices were broken out, but that all added up to what they had put on the spreadsheet. So they had grouped all their busing together, but we pay it by invoice. We pay it separately. So I just needed to make sure that they matched. So the true balance at the end of that year was $1,295.50. Moving into the next year, there was no activity, so it's that same true balance.
Oh, that was COVID year.
Yep.
Yes. 2021, 2022, We did find, again, a missing deposit, meaning that that is recorded in our system, and we had the paperwork, but it was not recorded on their spreadsheet. So their variance was in their favor of $650 for the true balance of $1,500.50. Moving into the 22-23 school year. Again, 2 deposits in their favor for a $200 variance, true balance of $2,160.50. Into the 23-24 school year, all transactions were accounted for, no variance. The true balance at the end of the year, $2,650.50. And for last school year, all transactions were accounted for. So their true balance was $2,870.50. Environmental Club. All right, Environmental Club, again, prior to July 1st of 2019, not verified. Their true balance was $1,859.70. No transactions in FY '21. We go into school year 21-22. All transactions are accounted for. They end with a true balance of $1,929.28. There was one transaction in 22-23 accounted for, and then the true balance becomes $1,877.28. No activity in the 23-24 school year. That beginning balance comes to the 24-25 school year. All transactions are accounted for, no variances, and the true balance of $1,719.68. We move on to yearbook. This 2019-2020, again, prior, beginning balance not verified. So as we look here, you take $50, $105.50, and the $52.75. Those 3 transactions add up to $208.25. So that deposit is noted, but they did it three times. There was only one deposit of $208.25. So those were duplicate entries. So unfortunately, that has to come out. So it was a variance of $416.50. So they end, the true balance is $443.25. That one's a little tricky. Does everybody understand?
Yes. So what is it? 3 different people putting these in and not knowing the other person did it or something? Or like, how could it be put in 3 times and no one noticed?
Well, they separated it the first time.
Oh,
And then if you look at it, it looks like somebody was then in June trying to maybe reconcile, but it's the same names in there as well. And then it's deposit for yearbook ads. So
But it's the same amount, yeah.
it's the same amount.
Yeah. So
The same amount 3 times. And we only have one transaction for that amount.
Okay.
So the true balance is carried forward for the 2020-2021 school year. All the transactions are accounted for this year, bringing us to $976.11. 21-22, everything accounted for. True balance, $1,075.
what's this found money? What's that mean?
That would mean that a class advisor found some money that did not get turned into the treasurer and not into the business office.
Oh, it was like in a drawer or something. Okay.
In an envelope that,
So that's something else in this process that we've talked to each of the advisors about.
I was going to say, like, that can't be
When-
happening.
No, when you get it, and this is another reason, and we're going to talk about this in the future too, about getting more and more done electronically. Because then there's no question, right? But when you collect something and you get busy, it's easy to forget. So, yeah, so
So, and with the annual training this year, and whatnot, they have to turn in any monies that they receive as a class advisor must be counted and turned into the student activity treasurer within 24 hours. So that is being done and has been rectified.
Yep.
So the true balance is $1,075.36. Going to the 22-23 school year, we did have a difference in the deposit. So there was a variance of $72, bringing the true balance to $1,771.36. We carry that to the 23-24 school year. All transactions are accounted for. So there is a true balance of $4,631.36. All the transactions for last year were accounted for. On the right-hand side, you're just seeing that they grouped their invoices, and I had to ensure that they added up to the total.
Gotcha.
So no variances. The true balance is $1,903.12. And the last one for this evening is Art Club. We started with a beginning balance of $852.05. No variances in the 1920 school year. No transactions in the 2020-21 school year. We moved to the 21-22 school year. There were no variances, and the true balance is $1,251.05.
Another found money. How fun. In 2020. Okay.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Moved to the 22-23 school year. No variances. The true balance was $1,367.24. In 23-24, there is a variance in the withdrawal in the invoice that came in. So there was $9.48 variance. The true balance is $1,151.40. And last school year, there were no transactions, so that true balance stands at $1,151.40.
just so we can clarify on those items, there is a corresponding deposit for that money. So that's why it remains in the spreadsheet.
Okay.
So that was supported by the documentation in Munis and through the deposit slips. Those found.
Yes, I have all of the,
That's all been verified.
I have all of the transactions that happened in the account that match those. I do have a lot. I didn't want to overburden us with all of that paperwork as well, but everything that is on here and verified in the audit report, there is backup documentation for everything.
And when folks had questions, she was able to show them that as well. And we are, as we pointed out, we've met with nearly everyone at the high school. So we're hopeful that at perhaps the next meeting, we can share with how we're shaking out at this point for it all to level out. We are, I think we had talked initially about there being a $20,000 variance, right? Back when we were first talking about the audit, we are much, much closer than that. You know, as I had pointed out, there was one transaction, right, that was supposed to be a withdrawal. It was put in as a deposit. So then it had to come. So that right there made up a chunk of that money. So we're much, much closer and we'll have those firm numbers. But we believe with using, the amount that we had determined for those closed sub-accounts, right? At one of the meetings you had voted to close, I think, 5 accounts.
The inactive accounts.
The inactive accounts to a certain, so there's that money that can offset some of the difference, as well as the interest that we do get on the account. So we're getting much closer and hoping that we can share all that and kind of wrap the high school up at the next one and continue with the middle school.
The chair, when a teacher finds money, how do they put it into the account? Like, how does it go to you? If they call you, you know, June 14th, they're cleaning out their desk and they found, well, hopefully
I'd like
it's
to
not
report-
happening anymore, but
It's not
I'd like to
happening.
report
hasn't happened
it did not
recently.
happen. Those were old years.
yeah, those
if
were,
you
yeah, those were a
noticed.
couple years ago.
So,
but what's in the, how are they depositing it? They found the money? Is that?
they would still write a deposit slip And
Well, and that's why she still has, well, that's why she has records of that, right? Because that's what was done. It was turned into the treasurer, and a deposit slip was done, and it was put into the account. That's why we can verify that that indeed was money that should be there. So, but yeah, we are really going to be pushing. We've already spoken with the town, because we have Munis that we already use for like iPads and busing and all of that. We can set up some accounts there, or we could look at some
Unibank.
Unibank. I'm sorry.
Yep. So we do our busing fees and all of that
Yeah.
with Unipay through Unibank. And actually, I have a meeting next week at the town to work with Unibank to add into field trips and class dues, so that all the families, we would really like to be cashless as much as possible.
Yep.
So that, and it's better on the parents and the students and the advisors. And
The advisors are all for it, because then it's all recorded.
Right, it's all
You know,
there,
no questions then, so.
The chair, when you're dealing with cash, it's just, there's too many lines of who's touching that.
Yep.
So it gets a little,
absolutely.
and it's the same in my district. Like it's like 24 to 48 hours or something like that you can hold it. So like over a weekend, you have to do it like first thing, and just it's not. It brings up potential risks for the staff if they have money. Like even having the concept of like keeping petty cash in a bin. No, like.
We don't have petty cash.
Yeah, and so, but like even having like teachers saying like, oh, I'm going to keep this money in my lockbox. Like, no, can't keep that cash.
No.
It has to go in. So
No, and
Hopefully this
I'd
will
just
stop
like to
this.
report that today, myself, my accounts payable, along with both Mr. DeLongchamp and Mr. Carlson, and the student activity treasurer, administrative assistants, we did a training with the Abraham's group on student activities. So we did a 3-hour training today. Oh, cool. So that was very helpful, but it was also very enlightening that a lot of our policies and procedures are exactly in line with what DESE and what MASBO would recommend.
Awesome. Good.
So
Yeah, we're getting there.
yeah, we're getting there. I just have a curiosity question about the ski club. It seems like, because my kids did the ski club in the middle school, I know it's completely separate, but you pay a fee and that money pays for the ticket and the bus and all of that. How can they still have like money left over, and why aren't people being refunded, basically? I know I saw in 2019 they did a fundraiser, but that was so long ago. That money was absorbed, and why would they even have a fundraiser? What, to curb the cost of?
So what happens is they have to make a guesstimate on how many students are going to sign up, and how then along with how much the buses cost. So they have, because they have to book the buses prior to making sure that they have all of the students signed up and ready to go. And then they come up with a agreed upon amount that they're going to charge the students. And then what happens is they have to pay for the bus sometimes prior to getting all the money. So there is always a little carry over each year so that they can at least pay for the first round of buses or any of the fees. So sometimes, less kids sign up, sometimes more kids sign up. It's not an exact science.
They have to pay early.
They do have to pay a little bit early sometimes.
But that has been a topic of conversation with several of the groups, that these should be what we call an in and out.
Yeah.
What goes in, that goes out.
Yeah.
Within some reason.
Like $100 or maybe $500.
$500,
Get
right? We
close
might have to pay for a bus
3,000.
or a couple
Yeah.
of buses, something like that. So we are working with them on that, because we agree. We've said to them, these aren't savings accounts, right? These are things that you have money for students, and now we spend it for the students. And then if you need some more money, then you fundraise again and you spend it on the students, right? So that's another whole ball of wax, but we completely agree that we should not have large amounts of money in any of these.
No, and we've talked about that, and also talked about that, okay, if you are carrying this, then next year you might have to reduce what your charging the
That's what I was going to
students.
say. Like, there were parents that were overcharged, basically.
I'm not so sure they were overcharged because sometimes parents, if they were to reimburse parents, parents are like, don't bother. Or, so I can't say for sure that was
Yeah.
the case because they set the fees and all of that but they don't try to overcharge anybody.
Well, hopefully the extra funds goes towards maybe a student that can't afford to ski or something.
Yes,
they
and
do
that
have
does,
that.
we
Yeah,
do
that does happen.
support
Yeah.
students that can't afford to, but would like to participate. So that is another way.
Through the chair, I'd be interested to see how the AMS ski club pans out because I know that like at AMS they tell you like okay how many kids sign up, then they say this is how much the bus is costing per kid. So I want to like see how AMS sets it up because I'm interested to see if they're carrying a balance over too. Like I understand having to pay for the buses ahead of time, but it seems like a fairly large balance to have. So
And the other thing, this doesn't apply to ski club, but there are some, like the yearbook, they did try and keep a little money from year to year with what they had because they buy a new camera, right? Because after 3 or 4 years, they might need a new camera. So there are some instances where something should be carried, but what we've said to them is, well, then we need to know that that's what the intent is, right? That has to be clearly spelled out.
Earmarked
You don't
somewhere.
just keep it to keep it, you know? So yeah, you'll see more of that in a few upcoming accounts as well that we've talked about with them. Okay. Okay. All right, we did that. I think that was, actually, I think that's all I have tonight. I think it's the policy subcommittee is up next.
that's me. We have a first read on 3 policies. AC is non-discrimination, and it's just updating to MASC, taking out some language that like instead of being like the beginning of the non-discrimination was public schools have the responsibility, it's being a bit more specific, like the Auburn School Committee and Auburn Public Schools. So just cleaning up some language. There's really no like huge differences there. The second ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex, MASC adds, it was updated in 2022, and then in January 2025, it reverted back to a policy from the federal court ruling. So, but it says sexual orientation or gender identity, which we did not have. It also changes a little bit of language, like instead of school system, it changes it to school district. So, and instead of the school systems, it says school districts policy and compliance officer. So that just is adding sexual orientation or gender identity. And then the FFA is a brand new policy. And it's somewhat modified from the MASC policy based on some conversations we had at the last meeting. And it was that the school committee recognizes that the death of a student, member of staff, or prominent community member is deeply felt by the school community. As places designed primarily to support learning, permanent memorials on school property will be limited to the discretion of the school principal. It is recommended that in lieu of permanent memorials, perpetual awards or scholarships be created. Any permanent memorials in existence before the adoption of this policy can only be removed by a vote of school committee. So it's protecting what's already there. It's saying it's up to the school principal. So it removes us a little bit. That was, I know, Dr. McCrillis's concern. And it's also recommending, not saying they must be permanent. They must be awards or scholarships. So it's just recommending. It's kind of pulling back a little bit from our control. So the original policy stated that like there will be none. But I know that was brought up, that was a little harsh. So this is kind of the middle ground between those.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any discussion.
Any questions, sir? I have to. I'm sorry. It's the death of my family. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, just first read. You guys let me know if there's anything you would like me to change or modify, and we can do that.
Through the chair. So the first two came from MASC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The first two are MASC. The third one is a modification of the MASC policy based on our conversation at the last meeting. The only suggestion that I would potentially make from my own point of view is that on the FFA, permanent memorials on school property will be limited to the discretion of the school principal and superintendent. But that would be the only suggestion that I would make.
Through the chair, I agree with what you're saying, yes. Principal and superintendent.
And so that the school principal is just not making decisions like willy-nilly, that the okay, so I will add that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's vague enough that it allows for the school principal and the superintendent to make that decision together. And it's vague enough that, like, if we did have a student or a teacher pass, that they could still do something.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Okay, I will add that in and I will bring it back for next meeting.
Through the chair, thank you. Thank you.
And just a quick update, I will bring forward the next set of policies for the next meeting that we reviewed. And I know, Dr. McCrillis, I'm going to bring you a policy or two to take a look at that's related to nursing.
Fantastic.
I know you love policies. But overall, the policies that we looked at last time, there's two on nursing. There's a few that I want to touch base, and I spoke to Dr. Chamberlain about bringing in Brianne Pulver just to kind of get an idea. And I know I need to discuss something with you, so I'll be reaching out. So
Great. Thank you.
thank you. So don't be shocked if you hear from me.
Never am. Teaching and learning, none?
Correct. None tonight.
Okay. Business and financial?
Yes, so we have a donation, and there's a letter in your packet. The Auburn High School Marching Band has been invited to participate in the 250th Sturbridge Anniversary Celebration Parade, and has received a $750 gift to defray the cost and use the balance for future costs. So this does require a motion and acceptance.
I'll entertain a motion.
I will happily make that motion to accept with gratitude a monetary donation in the amount of $750 from the Sturbridge 250th Committee to be used to defray the cost of participation and for future costs for the Auburn High School Marching Band in accordance with MGLC 44 subsection 53A.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Vote. And budget report?
And I have provided you a year-to-date budget report for the FY26 school year dated February 24th, 2026 for your review. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? And do we need executive session?
We do not.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.